Hey guys, Max from Baka Burrito here, and today on Breakfast Burrito we're going to be talking about Sports for Weebs Part 5, which is going to be our soccer special. And the reason I wanted to do a soccer special is for really two reasons. One, I've been watching a lot of soccer anime lately, and two, I was a little inspired because my family and I were talking about like our heyday when my brother and I played sports, and my brother was a big soccer player. So I was a little inspired to make this video for him, so this video goes out to you. You know who you are. Um, Anyway, the first anime I would like to talk about is an anime called Days, which is a really like fun, like 24 episode long soccer anime. It has a much longer manga, but they only have 24 episodes currently as of this recording. And I'm gonna give you a bit of a summary before I go into why I like this anime. But it starts with this character Tsukamoto who gets bullied a lot as a kid, like throughout middle school and into high school, because he's not really athletic. He really is quiet, shy, awkward, kind of scared of a lot of people, and he really is starting his high school off the same way he started his middle school life, kind of alone except for his one childhood friend, which in reality we all kind of every anime character seems to have one female childhood friend. Anyway, he pretty much starts it off like being scared, shy, the usual, until this guy Kazuma, he needs to find like a fifth for their futsal team for their game. And I don't know what initially gets him interested in Tsukamoto, but he asked him to come play, and Tsukamoto has never played soccer in his life, so he's a complete newbie going to this field to play. And it's really interesting though to watch how he gets on the field, doesn't know what he's doing at all, but is having so much fun. It takes kind of everybody aback. They're kind of like, you don't have to push yourself so hard, dude. Like, calm down. And Tsukamoto just tries to do everything he can to, help the team win. He finds out that Kazuma's friend is actually moving away, and this is his last game with his team. So Tsukamoto becomes extra motivated to want to win this game, and ends up actually hitting the winning goal. And as soon as he hits the winning goal with a header, and his head hitting also the post right afterwards, he kind of like crashes his way into the world of soccer and the passion of wanting to play the sport. And what's really interesting about this show is that right after this, he decides to join the soccer team, which is a top tier national ranked team. And if for anybody who knows anything about sports, if you're an amateur going on trying to join like an elite program, like right off the bat, you're going to be in for a tough time because the training regimens are ridiculous. The requirements to play on these teams are ridiculous. And overall, it's a pretty rough time, I'd say, especially for an amateur who's never done like anything physical like sports before. But the one cool thing I like about how this show progresses at that point is that you watch Tsukamoto not try to like improve his skill sets off the bat, improve his, shooting ability or dribble skills. What he's really trying to do is just improve stamina and conditioning, which are two of the biggest things you definitely need in soccer since you're running the length of a field like for 90 minutes. And it's really cool to see how that in of itself helps him progress as a player, because as the show progresses, he ends up being the slowest runner for all the first years, which causes him to run more laps and makes the first years mad. So what he does at that point is he says to the captain, I am going to run all of my teammates extra laps for me, which to me would be like, that's insane. But he does this for one of two reasons. One of the reasons is he doesn't want to make his teammates run extra laps just because he's slowing them down. And two, I think this isn't said, but I feel like it's a good way of looking at it, is that it helps him improve his conditioning overall because it forces him to run more of these laps. And the cool thing though about him running all these laps for his teammates is they see this, because to them he's just this amateur at first, but they see that he's the type that is willing to put in the work and willing to like not pull his teammates back and does the laps for them, and that actually motivates them to run with him. And it actually becomes it's a really cool moment in like the first 3 episodes. And then lastly, the last part I want to talk about in my summary of the show would be when Tsunoda plays his first game, because to me that really just stands out in general because he's never played any type of high level soccer before, any kind of competitive soccer except for the futsal game, and you really see him how bad he is at his skills. And so, what really made me interested at this episode is they didn't show him like being an elite kicker or being able to dribble. They just show him running a lot, which exhausts actually the defensive players because they have to guard him and mark him, and he's just running all over the field. And the reason they actually end up winning that game is because of Tsukamoto making everybody else run, which I just thought was a cool way of portraying his character, especially early on. All right, and that's really the summary of everything about Days. Like the few things I want to really get into about this show that I really like is the character Mizuki, who is the captain of Seiseki, the team that we are focusing on. Well, you first find out Mizuki is this elite player who is being how he has a pro contract. Like right after high school, he's going to the pros. He's one of the best players in the country. And you find out though that he, as a freshman, he was an amateur, just like Tsukamoto. So what I really like is this like correlation between these two characters because Mizuki is literally seeing a younger version of himself, and Tsukamoto seeing something that he can eventually become. And I think that's just a really cool dynamic in of itself because it's showing what the end result of all Tsukamoto's work could be. And I'd never seen that really in a sports anime before, so I thought that was really cool. Another dynamic I really want to talk about is Kazuma and Tsukamoto's whole thing together. Because Kazuma is the opposite Tsukamoto in every way. He is naturally gifted, unbelievable talent, but has lost the love for the sport. While Tsukamoto is not naturally gifted the sport, not naturally athletic, but loves soccer like it because he just started it. He's like a kid that found like he's like any kid when he first discovers anything that he likes. He just wants to do it all the time. And it's really cool to see how Kazuma gets his passion for the sport back because of Tsukamoto. And I think that's just one really cool dynamic right there. And the last dynamic I want to talk about is another character that I haven't talked about, but Ubagata. Yeah, Ubagata. She becomes the manager of the team, but before that, she is pretty much lost a lot of her motivation because she's gone through some of her own trauma, which I won't really get into. But she pretty much is just like, you have to enjoy life, like don't work too hard kind of mindset. While Tsukamoto has, I want to push myself, I want to grab onto something and not let go. While Ubukata has more of a, I want to just like live my life. Why do I have to cling on to something so desperately? And it's just really cool how to see like these two opposite mindsets react. The last thing I do want to talk about Days, which I feel like is a little underrated, is some of the comedic aspects of the show. It's just how Smoto like has his friendships with the rest of his teammates, how they react to him like being so unathletic and so not talented. And I just think it's fun though because it's not like a kind of bullying. It's kind of like how anybody is like on a team when you have like a newbie on board. You make fun of the newbie because yeah, he doesn't know how to play. Like you have fun with the guy, but you could tell like it's not from a malicious standpoint of how they're treating him as the show goes on. It's of we understand that you're bad. We're going to let you know that you're bad, but we're going to help you get better along the way. And you really see that as Tsukamoto improves as a player throughout the series. And I think that's just really cool. And I'm sorry I said one other thing, but one last thing I do want to say about the show, which I think is a unique dynamic, is that the Team Seiseki itself is not a underdog story. Far from it, actually. Seiseki is a team that made it to nationals 2 years ago. They're one of the top teams in the Tokyo district, which in Tokyo there's a lot of teams, so that's very impressive. But Tsukamoto is an underdog on a team that's an overdog, which is a little different in of itself, because usually the overdog team will get somebody that's really talented or somebody who's played the sport before but like needs to improve. But no, Tsukamoto has never played before, and it's this underdog trying to compete with these high caliber athletes and trying to become a starter, which is a different dynamic than we're used to seeing in the sports anime genre in general. So it's something that Days is an anime I definitely would recommend checking out. And it leads into the next one, which is another soccer anime manga. Actually, that's not an anime yet. Hoping it gets an anime. It's not. Yeah, it's not an anime yet. It's only a manga, and I hope it gets an anime soon. It's called Blue Lock, And Blue Lock centers around this character Yoichi, who is a striker. And for anybody who knows in soccer, a striker is the main offensive player on the team. He's the guy that goes for the goals, like the guy that kind of gets like all your you know, all the love in the world. It's the Ronaldos of the world. And one thing that makes the sports anime interesting, is it's not about high school players trying to go to nationals or something. It's about high school players trying to join the Japanese pro team, which you don't really see a lot of players trying to play on the pros in sports anime because they usually start in high school or only involved in middle school or the high school level. So it's really cool in of itself that this anime already wants to go to the sports world, like the professional sports world, which made me very excited to start reading this manga. And the way the anime actually does start off, though, is Yoichi's team losing. I think it was in the regional finals to another team to go to nationals. And Yoichi's just kind of bummed out, sad. And he gets a letter from the Japanese national soccer team. And the Japanese national soccer team's inviting him to a training camp to possibly become the striker for the Japanese national team. And this is like a big deal for anybody who knows sports. If you have an opportunity to play for your national team, that's insane. Like, that's an amazing opportunity. Yes, you're going to go to that camp. And when Yoichi gets there, he finds out that, like, it's not just him. It's like 500 other potential strikers from across the nation have been invited to this camp. What the players find out at Blue Lock is that the coaching staff is going to only pick one of these 500 players to be a striker on the national team. None of them will be subs. None of them will be anything. You are the striker or you're out. And this is going to be essentially a training camp of hell. Which, first of all, I have so many legal issues. Like, they're literally locking up 500 kids in essentially like a facility to find an elite striker. And I'm like, there's so many things wrong with the law there. Like, we're not even going to get into that. We're just going to suspend our suspension of disbelief. But they say anybody who fails will be thrown out of the facility immediately. And what I like about this anime also is not like the usual like teamwork makes the dream work kind of deal. It's the striker must be selfish. The striker must want that ball and score the goal. The striker must never want to pass the ball. And they say that's what makes the best strikers in the world the best strikers, because they demand the ball. And I don't know a crazy amount about soccer, but I can understand that mindset. If you're the go-to scorer, you want the ball. You don't want to give up the ball. And it's really cool to show how all these different strikers have different mindsets to how to score and what their definition of dominance is. Like, one character we do meet, Rin Itoshi, he's this is later on in the manga, obviously, but he is one of the best strikers in Japan already. But he has a different mindset to how somebody like Rensuke, uh, Rensuke, yeah, Rensuke, or Kunagami, yeah, Kunagami, chooses to score. Rin is more of I'll control the tempo, control the pace, while Ren is a brute force. Like, I'm going to kick this ball really, really hard, and it's going to score me goals, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Which I personally appreciate that approach, just because, it's more flashy. It's an anime thing. First test in Blue Lock is everybody's locked in a 10-man room in the size of the key for the goal, which is the outside line for the goal. And pretty much the goal is whoever has touched the ball last is going to be thrown out. So out of these 10 people, one player is going to be thrown out. And what's really cool about how that dynamic is, it's a 10-minute time limit, and they're pretty much just like a game of chicken or survival. And the person that actually gets taken out in Yoichi's group is the guy who beat him at nationals. And that's where you get to start seeing the ugly side of sports, because that guy was flipping out. He was up, frustrated, angry, saying, "Why is this guy I beat in the regional tournament going to continue to advance and become a striker, but I'm not?" But it shows kind of like a little bit of the ugly side of sports, and I liked seeing that a little bit. And Yoichi's just sitting there, just like listening to all this, and then he realizes something. He likes breaking people. He likes shattering people's hopes and dreams. Which I was like, oh, hold up, this isn't like your normal, like, nah, that was good competition, man. Good competing. No, he realizes that he likes shattering people's hopes and dreams, and that it makes him feel happy and fulfilled. And as we continue on throughout the series, that becomes a very important character trait for him. Because to be a striker, you have to be selfish. Well, in the show, what they say is to be a striker, you have to be selfish, self fulfilling, and want to break other people, essentially. And I think that's a very unique take on a main character because we usually see that mindset in the antagonists or the rival characters, but we never really see it in the main character. And the last character I would really like to talk about in Blue Lock is a character named Nagi, who eventually does team up with Sasagi or Yoichi, whatever you want to call him. And Nagi really is a unique character to me just because how he plays the sport so differently from all the other characters in the show in of itself. Nagi is a very technical type of character. Like he's does a lot of hat tricks, a lot of flashy moves, which to me, who doesn't watch a lot of soccer, thought was unrealistic at first. But then I found out, oh no, you can do like really cool like tricks like with your legs, like making the ball flip, doing a bunch of acrobatic plays, which I was just like, oh word, that's a thing. And so I just want to give Nagi a little shout out like that. Just yes, like the one other character I will discuss is Hyome, because I kind of relate to Hyome a little bit. Because Hyome is a elite striker who was in nationals multiple times, like a top caliber soccer player, until he suffered a bad injury to, I believe it was his knee. And he really is scared to use the speed that made him so iconic because he's worried he might ruin his knee and ruin his entire soccer career. And what I like specifically about this character's character development is that Hyome learns that if I just keep being scared and not trying to push myself again, I'll never be able to play the sport I love with the same passion ever again. So watching him overcome his fear of his injury is just something that's very satisfying as somebody who's actually gone through a couple injuries in my own sports career. And I guess I'll just talk about like a few things I like about the show the manga in general. Blue Lock to me is just very unique with its art style because it has a much darker feel behind it and a much like more serious tone compared to other sports anime. But throughout the entire manga, it's serious all the time, which to me embodies the difference between high school sports and pro sports. High school sports, you get downtime and time to really relax. Pro sports, it's your lifestyle. You lived and breathe your sport. And what I really like is that they show like even when they're downtime, they're thinking about all right, these next opponents, we gotta beat them, we gotta crush them in order to keep advancing and eventually be the last man standing. And that is a very similar mindset to how a lot of the pros are. Sports is a business, and it's a very competitive business that involves you being a little selfish and more self fulfilling. And I like how this anime kind of draws parallels to the actual pro sports world. One other thing I also like about Blue Lock is the fact that its focus is not on the high school aspect, but on the potential of becoming a top pro national team. And they even reference other elite players that are in soccer today that are elite strikers or elite game changers, like the Messis and Ronaldos of the world. One other thing I really do like about Blue Lock is its dynamics in terms of how the best players are treated versus how the worst players are treated. The better you are, well, not even how best. The one that scores the most goals gets treated better than the one who doesn't score any goals. And what this manga is really trying to emphasize, and the facility's trying to emphasize is what they value and the Japanese team values in these strikers is their ability to score. They don't care about assists. They don't care about anything. They want you to score goals. And I think it's really cool how they show this in that every goal you score awards that striker points. And those points can be used to either get a cell phone to contact the outside world, like better food, some better equipment, clean clothes. And it's really cool that they actually incorporated this because when games happen, you're not just competing then against the opposite team to advance, you're competing against your fellow teammates to score goals to get these rewards. And what I think the facility is trying to do here, and this hasn't been confirmed in the manga, this is my own speculation, is that they're really trying to the striker is the player that needs to score the goal, that you need to score the goal if you want to live a better lifestyle. which is very similar to pros in of itself. If you don't have results in the pros, you're not going to make money. If you don't make money, you won't get nice things. Just how in the manga, if you don't score goals, you don't get the points to have nice things. So they really try to have a similar correlation between pro sports and the manga, which I think is nice to see. I really appreciate that. And I think that's going to do it for today, guys. This has been Max from Baka Burrito on Sports Weebs Part 5. Don't forget to like and comment down below. And give us a subscribe while you're at it. And, give me a comment. Tell me what maybe sports anime you want me to review next or talk about. That was just awkward. We're going to redo the outro. 3, 2, 1. Think that's going to do it for today, guys. Don't forget to like and comment down below, and give us a subscription while you're at it. And give us a comment down below telling me what kind of sports anime you might want me to review next. Have a good one, guys.